Hello everyone, welcome to History and Culture. In ancient China, without advanced technology, people could only rely on their senses, intuition, and life experience to understand the world. When faced with inexplicable phenomena, they often attributed them to divine miracles. As a result, the ancients firmly believed in feng shui. Those who were well versed in this field could indeed perceive details that ordinary people would overlook. For example, by observing the celestial patterns in the night sky and combining them with natural changes, they could predict future events. When discussing such figures, one cannot overlook Zhuge Liang. Zhuge Liang was known as a demonic genius, not only because of his unparalleled military strategy, but also due to his vast knowledge. He was well versed in astronomy, geography, and even feng shui. At the same time, he excelled in psychology, accurately reading people's minds and employing ingenious tactics that frightened enemy troops into panic and complete defeat. Back then, Liu Bei had to personally visit him 3 times before Zhuge Liang agreed to assist him. In the end, Liu Bei's persistence paid off. With Zhuge Liang's unwavering support, Liu Bei, who was once an unknown wanderer with no power, eventually established his own kingdom, becoming a dominant force that stood alongside Cao Cao and Sichuan, creating a historical 3-way standoff. After Liu Bei passed away, Zhuge Liang dedicated himself wholeheartedly to assisting Liu Bei's son, Liu Shan, hoping to revitalize the Shu Han kingdom. However, Liu Shan neither inherited his father's talent nor his vision and character, leading to his infamous reputation as the incompetent adu. As veteran generals passed away one after another and new talents were difficult to cultivate, Zhuge Liang eventually found himself in a position where he had no capable subordinates left. Yet, even under such dire circumstances, he refused to act recklessly. Instead, he handled everything personally, overseeing even the smallest matters, until he literally worked himself to death. During his lifetime, Zhuge Liang's brilliant strategies led him to countless victories, resulting in the deaths of numerous enemies. Naturally, he became the target of many people's hatred. Aware that enemies might desecrate his grave after his death, Zhuge Liang carefully planned his own burial. He instructed his followers, "After I die, heaven will decide my final resting place. Simply carry my coffin up Dingjun Mountain. Wherever the rope breaks, that shall be my tomb." The soldiers were puzzled. How could the rope break on its own? They thought Zhuge Liang must have lost his clarity in his final moments. Yet, they dared not disobey him and followed his instructions. However, Zhuge Liang's choice of Dingjun Mountain was no coincidence. He had calculated that in the future, a cataclysmic event would take place there. And even his great rival, Sima Yi, would meet his end at the same location. This would not only avenge Liu Bei but also eliminate a major enemy of Shu Han. Thus, 8 soldiers carried Zhuge Liang's coffin up Dingjun Mountain. To their astonishment, as they reached the summit, the rope suddenly snapped. Shocked, they turned to investigate. But at that very moment, the mountainside collapsed, sending a massive rockslide tumbling down. The falling stones buried Zhuge Liang's coffin within the mountain. Tragically, the 8 soldiers were also caught in the collapse, becoming Zhuge Liang's unintended burial companions. From then on, the exact location of Zhuge Liang's tomb remained unknown. Countless speculations arose, and people marveled at how he seemed to foresee everything, as if he had already predicted his own fate. Thus, a legend emerged. Zhuge Liang did not receive an ordinary burial. Instead, he was granted a celestial burial, as if heaven itself had arranged the perfect resting place for him. According to historical records, the story of Zhuge Liang is well documented. The Longzhong strategy. In the 6th year of the Jianan era, 201 AD, Liu Bei suffered defeat in battle against Cao Cao and was forced to seek refuge with Liu Bei, the governor of Jingzhou. At the same time, he actively sought connections with local elites, hoping for an opportunity to rise again. During this period, Liu Bei was stationed in Xinya under Liu Bei's protection. One day, he met the renowned recluse Sima Hui. Sima Hui told him, "Ordinary scholars have a narrow vision and cannot see the grand scheme of things. Only those who truly understand the larger situation can be considered outstanding talents. In today's world, the only ones who can grasp the state of affairs are Wulong, Zhuge Liang, and Fengchu, Pang Tong." In the 12th year of the Jianan era, 207 AD, Su Shu recommended Zhuge Liang to Liu Bei. Hoping to meet him, Liu Bei asked Su Shu to bring Zhuge Liang to him. However, Su Shu advised, "This man is an extraordinary talent of the times, not someone who can be easily summoned. If the general truly seeks great talent, you should visit him in person." Liu Bei deeply agreed and personally visited Longzhong 3 times before finally meeting Zhuge Liang. The meeting at Longzhong. Upon meeting, Liu Bei asked his attendants to leave, then confided in Zhuge Liang about his aspirations. He lamented, "The Han dynasty is in decline, treacherous ministers hold power, and the emperor is but a figurehead. Though I know my abilities are limited, I still hope to restore order to the realm. Unfortunately, I have suffered repeated defeats and achieved nothing thus far. Nevertheless, my ambition remains unshaken. Sir, do you have any strategies to help me achieve this goal?" Hearing Liu Bei's plea, Zhuge Liang carefully analyzed the political landscape and presented his famous 3 kingdoms strategy. He explained, "Since the chaos caused by Dongzhuo, warlords have risen, each vying for power. In the past, Cao Cao was much weaker than Yuan Shao, yet he managed to defeat him through superior strategy and favorable circumstances. Now, Cao Cao commands an army of 1 million and controls the emperor, wielding power over the lords. A direct confrontation with him is unwise. Sun Xuan, ruler of Eastern Wu, has inherited a strong foundation built over 3 generations. His territory is naturally fortified, his people are loyal, and he is surrounded by capable advisors. He can be an ally but must not be provoked lightly. Jingzhou is a crucial strategic location, connecting the Han and Mian rivers in the north. Stretching to the South China Sea, bordering Wu and Kuaiji in the east, and linking Ba and Shu in the west. Its geographical significance cannot be underestimated. However, Liu Bei's governance is weak, and his successors lack capability, making it difficult for them to retain control. Meanwhile, Zhou, modern-day Sichuan, is a land of natural fortifications, fertile soil, and abundant resources. When the great Han founder, Emperor Gaozu, Liu Bang, first rose to power, it was from this region. Currently, Liu Zhang is incompetent, and Zhang Liu holds Hanzhong. The people of Yizhou long for a wise ruler. If the general can first secure Jingzhou and then take Yizhou, you will have a stronghold from which to build power. With these 2 regions under control, you can then ally with Sun Xuan to resist Cao Cao. Internally, governance should be strengthened. When the right moment arises, generals can be dispatched from Jingzhou to launch an offensive into the Central Plains, while you, general, can lead forces from Yizhou to attack Guanzhong. When that time comes, the common people will surely welcome you with food and wine, celebrating your arrival. In this way, the great enterprise can be achieved, and the Han dynasty can be restored. The birth of a grand strategy. This conversation became known in history as the Longzhong strategy. Liu Bei was deeply moved by Zhuge Liang's words and praised him repeatedly. Without hesitation, he invited Zhuge Liang to become his chief advisor. From that moment, Zhuge Liang officially entered the political stage as Liu Bei's military strategist. The 2 spent their days strategizing together, growing increasingly close. This, however, caused some dissatisfaction among Liu Bei's sworn brothers, Guan Yu and Zhang Fei. Sensing their displeasure, Liu Bei reassured them, saying, with Kongming, Zhuge Liang, by my side. I feel like a fish that has found water. I hope you two will not complain anymore. Upon hearing this, Guan Yu and Zhang Fei no longer voiced their objections. History proved that Zhuge Liang's Longzhong strategy laid the foundation for Liu Bei's state of Shuhan and guided its national policies for decades. At that time, Zhuge Liang was only 27 years old. The Battle of Wits at Red Cliffs. That year, after Liu Bei's forces retreated to Xiakou, the situation was dire. Zhuge Liang took the initiative and said to Liu Bei, "The situation is urgent. I am willing to personally travel to Jiangdong to seek aid from Sun Quan." At the time, Sun Quan and his army were stationed at Chaisang, modern-day Zhejiang, Jiangxi, still undecided about how to respond to Cao Cao's invasion. Upon arriving in Chaisang, Zhuge Liang immediately requested an audience with Sun Quan and analyzed the current situation. "The world is in chaos. You, General, have control over Jiangdong. While Governor Liu Bei, is gathering forces south of the Han River, preparing to contend with Cao Cao. Now that Cao Cao has pacified most of the northern territories and successfully captured Jingzhou, his influence shakes the land. If you believe that the military strength of Wu and you is sufficient to resist him, then you should make a firm decision and sever all ties with him. However, if you think you cannot withstand his forces, then why continue to fight? You might as well surrender to him now." Sun Quan did not respond directly but instead countered with a question: "If the situation is as you say, then why hasn't Liu Bei surrendered?" Seizing the opportunity, Zhuge Liang deliberately elevated Liu Bei's status and replied, "Liu Bei is of imperial descent, a man of great ambition. He would rather die in battle than submit to Cao Cao." This statement not only underscored Liu Bei's unwavering determination but also stirred Sun Quan's fighting spirit. As expected, Sun Quan became furious and immediately declared that he, too, would never surrender to Cao Cao. However, he still had concerns and inquired about Liu Bei's current military strength. At this point, Zhuge Liang provided a detailed analysis of the situation. First, he listed their own forces. Liu Bei's scattered soldiers were regrouping. Guan Yu had already gathered a naval force of 10,000 men. And the troops under Lu Qi, the governor of Jiangxia, also numbered nearly 10,000. Then, he pointed out the weaknesses of Cao Cao's army. Cao Cao's forces had marched long distances without rest. Especially his cavalry, which had pursued Liu Bei for over 300 miles, leaving them utterly exhausted. They were like an arrow at the end of its flight, unable to pierce even a thin piece of silk. Additionally, he noted that most of Cao Cao's troops were from the north and unskilled in naval warfare. While the people of Jingzhou had submitted to him out of coercion, not genuine loyalty. Finally, Zhuge Liang concluded with certainty, given these circumstances, Cao Cao is bound to lose. Sun Quan, reassured by this analysis, convened a military council. With further persuasion from Lu Su and Zhou Yu, he finally made his decision, to form an alliance with Liu Bei against Cao Cao. He immediately ordered Zhou Yu, Cheng Pu, and Lu Su to lead 30,000 naval troops to engage Cao Cao's forces. Zhuge Liang swiftly returned to Liu Bei's camp. Soon after, in the 11th month, the Sun Lu coalition decisively defeated Cao Cao's army at Red Cliffs using fire attacks, inflicting heavy losses. Meanwhile, disease spread within Cao Cao's ranks, further crippling their morale. With no other choice, Cao Cao withdrew his forces back to the north. This is the History and Culture channel. Liking and subscribing are the greatest help and support to us. Thank you everyone and see you in the next time.